Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach, and today we have with us Caleb Guilliams, who is the founder and CEO of BetterWealth. Caleb, welcome to the program.
Mike, it is a pleasure and honor to be here. Thanks for having me on your show.
Hey, you're welcome, and I love meeting new people and from all walks of life. And as we just were chatting about right before going here in this recording, you live probably like 2 doors down almost from where I'm at. So small world, really, really amazing to connect with professionals that are in our same area. So give me a little bit of background on yourself and what your entrepreneurial journey has been like so far in your career.
My entrepreneurial journey in a nutshell, because if people would see me, they'd be like, okay, you're in the financial service business, but you look like you're 15 years old. What's the timeline going on here? And to make a long story short, I grew up in central Wisconsin. I'm the oldest of 6 kids. I started working in the farm business and just loved to work with my hands. When I turned 17 years old, I got a job at a bank. And so I always looked super, super young for my age, but I started working behind the teller line and had this vision and dream to work in our investment department someday. And so that dream came true. When I was 18, I worked as our investment assistant while going to our local university studying business and finance. So it was like a really good position. I felt really blessed to be 18 and have this experience. But then my life changed pretty dramatically when the guy that was running our investment department took another job. And at 19 years old, I became one of the youngest people in the country to take over such a big responsibility. And so wow. I remember that day where I was just like, I'm going to do everything in my power to help people and understand the truth. And then my journey from there has just been meeting people, learning the power of helping people understand money and how they can really live a more intentional life. And so that's in a nutshell what happened when I turned 21. I graduated college a year early, and I had this burning desire to truly make a difference. My mission statement is to help people see and reach their highest potential. And I knew that sitting at the bank, even though I was set, right? It was like graduated college, I had the dream job, but I just knew in my heart that I was not going to truly be fulfilled just being comfortable. And I knew that there's this thing called Google, and Google could really amplify the message of helping people be more efficient with their money. And so make a long story short, man, started very humbly, left the bank, started BetterWealth, the company that I have the pleasure of running now, and with the dream of I believe people want a better way. And our office is $250 lease under a Papa John's building, so not necessarily crushing it on the real estate flexes, but that has grown, and now we have 15 people on our team. We work virtually. We have clients in all 50 states. There's been a lot of other exciting things that we've been able to do. And it's just a true honor, man, just to be on here and talk about entrepreneurship that has literally changed my life.
Yeah, and I think having that mission, that bigger, that sense of I want to do something more than being confined in these 4 walls and helping the people that come through my door at the bank. Nothing wrong with that, because we need people for that. Because guess what? We need people to build houses and sling a hammer, but I barely know what end of a hammer's up. So good for the people that can do that. So, we need the people that are like you that are going, okay, listen, let's kind of take this message with your personal twist to it. Because guess what? You on your website say the one-stop shop for every financial decision. If we were to take every financial decision and say, give me the 10-second overview on each one, you could go boom, 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 boom. And sometimes I would suspect people would go, okay, yeah, heard that. But you're going to bring your own twist and your own experience and your own strategy to that and sync them up together to go, hold on now. You might think that this better financial decision is this, and we don't need to get into specifics, but you're putting together, I would suspect, a blueprint that then kind of goes, aha. Now that when you combine everything together, the sum of the parts is better than, the individual pieces. Now that whole blueprint, that checklist comes to life.
Yep. We call it our financial model, and it really comes down to this concept called cash flow ratio. Everything when it comes to money can be can be summarized with this concept of cash flow ratio. Money comes in and either goes two places. It's either gone, and I don't care if it's to a latte or to taxes or whatever, or it's saved and invested for the future. And so what we really try to do is simplify all that, and that's why we can say we can be the one-stop shop for every financial decision. We might not be able to do everything in-house, but everything at the foundation has to be based on a cash flow ratio model, and we can really simply show people where they're at, and it's fun to move the needle in people's lives and help them get the grasp and have their money work harder for them.
In that model, is there anything to do with a bucket with holes in it? And I say that tongue in cheek because isn't that the whole cliche of, and it really is the truth though. You could say, well, I just need more money coming in, so let me get more sales, more revenue, more whatever. And that might be an element of it. But if that money comes in and there are holes with things going out, like you mentioned, latte, hey, a latte, there's nothing wrong with that. But if it's 2 lattes a day, 7 days a week, now we might need to pause and say, how could we maximize that? So I would suspect that part of your counseling is, yes, we need to make sure we're finding good revenue income sources, but also let's plug up some of the money leaving through taxes and through expenses.
Yep. It's interesting that you said taxes, because taxes for especially the entrepreneur is the greatest wealth eroder and wealth prohibitor to helping people get to where they want to go. And so, that's 100%. I'm a big fan of efficiency, and I love the definition of optimization. My twist on the definition of optimization is taking what you're currently doing and making it better. But you need to, number one, know where you want to go. And isn't it true that most people don't have a clear, definite, this is what I want out of life? If we don't have that, it's like it's kind of like Alice in Wonderland when she's like at the fork in the road and she tells the cat she doesn't know where she wants to go. Cat says, if you don't know where you want to go, any road will get you there. So number one, it's like we got to get really, really clear on what we want out of life. And then number two is we got to look at our time, our money, and our potential and ask the question, what can I do such by doing that can help me get there fastest? That's where, when it comes to financial planning, I kind of cringe when I hear that word, because I'm like, we butcher everything in our business. And at the end of the day, we got to reverse engineer and say, what do you want? And how do we position your time and money and potential in a way to get that the best way?
You mentioned something interesting, optimization, and your definition / twist on that made me think of the word innovation, because I think innovation, people think, oh, it's a new invention. It's no. Many times innovation is, taking this normal thing, process or whatever, and making it better. Well, here's something that I feel is quite interesting. Financial planning kind of makes people feel old school and stodgy and I don't know, in retirement. I'm only 28, so what do I need to do about financial planning and retirement? That'll come down the road. But all of a sudden, let me just tell you, at age 53, it seemed like I was 23 about a minute and a half ago. So time will fly, right? So check this out. I feel like you should be maybe you should coin this phrase. So here's a freebie gift for you. Maybe you should coin lifestyle financial optimization. Instead of calling it financial planning, that's who cares. But you're really showing people how to optimize their lifestyle now for the purpose of what will happen in the future. And have you ever read the book 4 Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss?
Yeah, that was one of the first books I read. Yeah. I was gonna have somebody do all my work for me, like a VA, but ethics-wise, I decided to rent my papers, which was probably a bad idea in hindsight. But yes, love that book.
Well, what I think that it's like just obviously a glitzy title to get attention, but one of the takeaways, because I don't think anyone ever in a million years could say, I only work 4 hours a week. And even if you were a high-performing person like yourself, like myself, we're not going to work 4 hours a week. But the point is, one of the things I remember him talking about is, hey, you know what? Forget the word retirement. Who wants to work to whatever age and then just go sit on the beaches or play golf? You're going to get bored to tears. So I feel like research supports, and especially in your age demographic, 25 to 35, range, do you even want to go be done working and play golf or play video games? No, we want to be vibrant and do. Now I want to work, 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, and have people, then there's the 4 number. But what I'm saying is you just brought up a huge point. Where are you going? Ed, if you sit down with a client and go, what does retirement look like to you? And they describe that. And maybe it is a little bit of work and a little bit of this. You then have to start, like Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind, start working backwards and go, okay, to achieve that with, your dream retirement, which I guarantee you, half the people you ask that question to are kind of like, I don't know. I mean, so what do you do when you have a client that is saying that to you?
Yeah, dream retirement is also can be a negative mission because it's like, what's the definition of retirement? To be taken out of service. When we retire a horse, what does that usually mean?
You're putting them down.
So I don't believe that we are meant to retire. I do believe that we should handle our money in such a way that we're living life on our terms. Like our ideal of intentional living is what a lot of people use, financial freedom or financial independence. But the idea, an intentional purpose, our person is living with a purpose and a focus. That to me is if we can get every one of our clients and people in our community to be intentional, they're wealthy because that means they are living life on their terms and they're being purposeful. But I like that way more than I think a lot of times financial freedom or independence, we get this maybe a little bit of a scammy vibe and it's more of a me. And man, and you know this, like the best fulfillment comes from serving others and just really being present with our priorities.
1,000%. And what is success? Oh man, if you ask 20 people, you'll get 58 responses and variations thereof. So it really is, that, I want to make enough and be successful enough that I can do what I want when I want and give as much as I want and serve and all of those things. But you know what? That does take resources, which means it does take some money. And it does mean that I better not have debt up to my eyeballs because then I might not be able to do those things that I was hoping to do and give back. So it all ties together in your cash flow ratio modeling explanation you gave. Let's shift over and talk about your book, The And Asset. I think that's a cool title. Tell me what that is all about.
The And Asset came out of when I left the bank. I learned the strategy about when people overfunded life insurance. And they didn't use it as an investment. They used it as a foundational tool where they could store their money. It could grow tax advantage. It could protect them, but they could also use that capital to reinvest in their real estate or themselves or their business. And I was just like, oh, no one has ever taught me this. I was always taught that one is either good or bad. Like you should life insurance is a horrible investment, or you should just do real estate, or you should just do business, or you should put your money in index funds or ETFs. And the epiphany that I had is, while we can have debates all day long about investments, what I learned about life insurance and what the banks and corporations and really wealthy people used it, they didn't use it as an investment. They literally used it as a foundational tool that not just enhanced their legacy, but enhanced their control and gave their money a better place to store capital than like a bank or other like fixed bonds. And so that's where like the epiphany came, is like, oh, if we could show people a better foundational tool, this is really for entrepreneurs or people that are entrepreneurial minded. That's where the concept of the and, because no longer do we have to choose between one or the other. There are certain assets out there that allow you to say no to that false choice. And so that was what, like, the reason I wrote the And Asset, is just to clearly define some principles that I've learned. And then from there, we at BetterWealth has gotten more. I would say that's what started BetterWealth, is like we were the And Asset company that pretty much did life insurance for people, and that has now led to us doing more things like investments and coaching, and we also just do a lot of And Assets. So if you
put bullet points under the word and, you could go, okay, well, insurance, whole value, whatever, whole life insurance. And then the other bullet point could be, this other, strategy. The other bullet point, let's invest in yourself.
Yep.
So, I mean, the and is cool. And it has a psychological aspect too. And hopefully you've thought of this. If I said to you, hey, Caleb, I like that idea, but as soon as I say, but, you're like, stop. You feel like I'm going, but it's wrong because. But if I say, hey, Caleb, I like that idea, and what I really thought was intriguing, now you're like, it's building off of that. Yep. So that and is a bridge. It's not a stopper.
Yeah, we call it an investment enhancer.
Yeah.
Because it very much should enhance everything that you're doing. So, yeah, I love that, and I'm grateful to have got the domain, because there's a lot of people that were like, hey, like I didn't come up with anything under the sun, by the way. I just was maybe the smart one that just took people's ideas and said, well, why aren't people innovating in this concept, or sharing it? So it's one of those things where I'm only who I am because of people that have come before me.
Yeah, I mean, in Scripture, Ecclesiastes teaches there's nothing new under the sun, but like we said in innovation, you can innovate. So guess what? That term life insurance, that's been around for millennia. But let's break through some of those preconceived notions and use it in a unique way. And when people realize, oh, wait a minute, you mean I could do this and have this? And okay, that's pretty interesting. Tell me more. So I like that mindset. So talk a little bit more about when you have someone come in. What if they are a family versus a business? Are you able to provide some of these same strategies for both an individual family as well as, hey, if you own a business, man, we can take these and really amplify it more because you've got more opportunity within a business structure?
Yeah, I think people's need to control money and to grow it and to master it is relevant in both. The process that we take with consumers and business owners, and it's a little bit different, but they're really simple. It's number one, what do you really want? Let's get clear. We have this saying that ROR for us stands for return on results instead of like a rate of return, because we want to be very intentional in every step. And a lot of times people don't have clarity on like what's the result that we want in business? What's the result that we want in our family's wealth? And so we get clear on that. And then the second part is auditing. We need to audit our time. We need to audit our money. And there's three things that we're auditing when it comes to money. Cash flow. We're asking the question, can we make more money? What's the strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats to the cash flow now and in the future? And we're looking at, assets. My definition of an asset is anything that puts cash back in your pocket. It's creating value. It's helping you live more intentional. Ultimately, it's helping you get closer to the results that you want. And then we're also looking at consumption and liabilities and just saying, talking about holes in a bucket, where's money leaving? And can we like be efficient in some areas? And one of the best efficiencies is looking at people's tax bill. Like there are so many needle movers in that. And then finally, so the first step is knowing where we want to go. Second step is auditing that. And in the audit process, we can model and show people very quickly, actually, where they're at. And based on what we know today, this is what's going to happen. And what's cool is we summarize this into a 2-line graph. So in 2 lines, we can tell you where you're at financially, because it's all based on a cash flow ratio model. And then finally, we create a strategy. And for some people, it's like, hey, I need to double down in business. Some people need to sell their business. Some people are like, this 401k that I have is actually not the asset that's going to best serve me and my family. Some people are realizing that they should sell real estate. Some people are saying we should buy more real estate. It's the cool thing is not everyone's in the same situation, but cash flow and the cash flow ratio can measure every situation.
Yeah. Well, I love that idea of 1 page, 2 line. That is just simplicity. And what you just described with, hey, we know this because of historical success, because success leaves clues. And if we know that this step and that strategy works in, all these scenarios, well, then now let's plug in your personal, what we've discovered here in our session. And now all of a sudden, here you go. Here's this proven plan because it's worked for these people, these models and things. I love simplicity. In fact, have you ever read the book Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller?
Yes. Love it.
So when you confuse, you lose. And, if you don't need to burn those mental calories to understand, man, you show me a piece of paper with 2 lines on it, and I'm tracking right there with you. So that sounds really cool.
What I love about Donald Miller is we are not the heroes. Our clients are. And we just need to facilitate a process that creates clarity and promotes action. So, yeah, man, I love it. And you're an amazing interviewer, and I just appreciate how natural it is talking to you.
Well, thank you. And I kind of approach these kinds of interviews as a fireside chat mastermind, because it's like you say something and it makes me think of something and it makes you think of something, a whole different thing. And the whole point is when people are listening to this interview, they need to hear your fresh approach, energy, how you are approaching serving your clients. And that's a whole different story than buy my thing. right? I mean, you don't need to be that pushy salesperson. You need to go, let's kind of come alongside you. I kind of wrote this down once about the hero and the guide. I'm not the sage on the stage. I'm the guide on the side. And if you could come alongside someone and kind of guide them along and go, look, let me just show you something. This 2-line, 1-page blueprint, man, if we could implement, look at what this could be. I think people really resonate with that. So let's wrap up, Caleb, with if someone has heard something that really resonates with them and they'd love to learn more about BetterWealth, what is the best way they can reach out and connect with you?
The best way is to go to betterwealth.com. It's betterwealth.com, and we have an assessment tool. They can get my book. They can schedule a free 15-minute clarity call. And we're very, very clear. We're unlocking intentional living by changing the way that people think. And so intentional living is the metric. We want to be the company that changes the way you think, because the thoughts have to be aligned first before any action happens. And that's the best way.
Love it, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's great to connect with you.
It's a pleasure, man. Thank you.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.